Terence Crawford has never been one to bite his tongue. And when the sparring footage leak involving Floyd Mayweather hit the boxing world, he erupted in a way that shook the sport. This wasn't just about leaked training moments, it was about trust, respect, and loyalty between two fighters who once claimed to be cool with each other. For Crawford, Mayweather's behavior crossed a line. He explained that he disliked a lot of the things Floyd had been saying and the way he acted. They had been cool at one point, especially when the Errol Spence fight was being negotiated, but in Crawford's eyes, Mayweather did a lot of fake stuff and said things you would never say about someone you claim to be close with. Crawford repeated his biggest issue. Character takes you a long way. He couldn't agree with the actions Floyd had taken. For a fighter who has built his career on discipline, loyalty, and pride, this felt like betrayal. The tension goes deeper than sparring footage. It's about legacy and what's next for Crawford. Promoter Eddie Hearn sparked another wave of debate when he suggested Crawford should retire. Not because Crawford has nothing left in the tank, but because his legacy is already untouchable. He's conquered multiple weight classes, become undisputed, and demolished elite opponents. Retiring at this point would freeze his image as the undefeated king of his time, much like the legends who walked away on top. But Hearn admitted it isn't that simple. Boxing today isn't just about legacy, it's also about money. With Saudi Arabia pouring billions into the sport and crossover mega events dominating headlines, Crawford could make more money in one or two fights than most champions earn in their whole careers. For Hearn, the temptation of financial security is understandable. If Crawford fights again, it won't be about proving greatness. It'll be about securing the bag. Big money fights are rare, and Crawford knows it. Younger voices like Floyd Schofield have weighed in too, offering a different perspective. Schofield respects Crawford's greatness, but thinks the best move might be to stop now while he's ahead. In his view, Crawford has already done it all, pound-for-pound supremacy. World titles across divisions, and flawless dominance over the best of his era. He doesn't question Crawford's skills or accomplishments, but warns against risking it all for fights that don't need to happen. If Crawford were to return, Schofield believes it should only be against hungry young contenders like Virgil Ortiz or Frank Martin. To him, those fights would test whether Crawford can still handle the new wave of boxing talent. Yet Schofield's tone isn't dismissive, it's respectful. He acknowledges that Crawford has nothing left to prove and argues that retiring now would keep his record flawless and his name preserved at its peak. Still, fantasy matchups dominate the conversation. The debate of Crawford versus Mayweather has consumed fans for years. Both represent complete mastery of their eras, and the idea of their primes colliding is the stuff of boxing dreams. Floyd's defensive genius, unmatched ring IQ, and ability to neutralize any style made him untouchable. Crawford, on the other hand, is a master of adaptability, switching stances seamlessly with knockout power in both hands and a ruthless finishing instinct. But the reality is stark. Mayweather is past his prime, and any modern-day clash would be more spectacle than true test. The real intrigue is always the same. What if Pretty Boy Floyd, the younger, faster, more aggressive Mayweather, met prime Terence Crawford in the ring? Opinions split down the middle. Some argue that Pretty Boy Floyd would edge Crawford, pointing to his undefeated record and his dismantling of legends like Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, Miguel Cotto, and others. Others believe Crawford's awkward style, his ability to switch stances mid-fight, and his power in both hands would eventually overwhelm Floyd, especially the Money Mayweather version that relied more on defense than offense. Crawford himself believes he could have broken Floyd down. He points to the success Pacquiao had in certain moments against Floyd, and he argues that his ability to switch styles and dictate pace would have been too much. He insists that Floyd's Philly shell defense, so impenetrable against others, would have eventually melted under his pressure. Analysts have tried to put numbers behind the debate. Floyd beat 23 world champions, while Crawford has only beaten 11. Some fans argue that this makes Floyd more accomplished, but others push back, saying that accomplishments don't always define who the better fighter is. Canelo Alvarez, for example, has beaten 18 former world champions. More than Crawford, yet Crawford completely dismantled him when they fought. Accomplishments don't always translate to skill superiority. Crawford's skill set is unique knockout power in both hands, the ability to switch between orthodox and southpaw, slick footwork, precise counterpunching, and the willingness to make fights dirty if needed. He can box, he can brawl, and he knows when to finish. Fans argue that Crawford's combination of IQ and aggression makes him one of the most complete fighters in history. Zab Judah, who has been in the ring with Floyd, added even more fuel to the fire by declaring Crawford the king of this generation. Judah acknowledged Floyd's reign but emphasized that every generation has its standout, and today, it's Crawford. He reminded fans that even Canelo Alvarez once suggested Crawford might be better than Floyd, a statement that still sparks heated debates. Judah explained that Crawford's dominance across weight divisions is something rare, especially since he carries his power and composure no matter how much weight he adds. For Judah, this wasn't about disrespecting Floyd, but about recognizing that time moves on and every era produces its king. Canelo himself once compared the two, pointing out that the Floyd he fought was not the same as the seasoned version Crawford beat years later. Floyd fought Canelo when he was young and raw, while Crawford faced a more complete version at super middleweight. Crawford emphasizes that distinction whenever comparisons are made. Timing is everything in boxing, and he believes beating an experienced champion carries more weight than schooling a youthful one. But Floyd's camp, including Jeff Mayweather, argues that people forget context. Floyd was 36 when he fought Canelo, well past his physical prime, yet he dominated a younger, dangerous opponent. They argue that comparing Floyd's version of Canelo to Crawford's is unfair. It was two completely different stages in both fighters' careers. Buddy McGirt offered another angle, praising Crawford's control over Canelo. He said Crawford dictated pace, distance, and exchanges from start to finish, something even Floyd rarely did with the same level of aggression. McGirt felt that Crawford's ability to combine defensive brilliance with ruthless finishing instincts set him apart. To him, Crawford didn't just beat Canelo, he made a statement that he belongs. In any conversation about the greatest technicians the sport has ever seen, the debate will never truly end because boxing thrives on comparisons. Mayweather's charisma, his undefeated streak, and his ability to sell himself as both hero and villain made him a global superstar. Fans tuned in either to admire his brilliance or to hope for his downfall. Crawford, by contrast, has never been a massive pay-per-view draw, but that doesn't take away from his skill. Many analysts argue that Crawford may even surpass Floyd in pure fighting ability. Where Floyd was defensive and cautious, Crawford is both calculated and ruthless, making him as difficult to beat but more exciting to watch. His finishing ability is what sets him apart, and fans who appreciate artistry often find themselves drawn to Crawford's style. When you strip, weigh the numbers, and focus on skill for skill, many argue that Crawford would have been the one man capable of beating Floyd. Taller, longer reach, more versatile in style, and with the rare ability to fight effectively from both stances. Crawford brings problems that Floyd never had to solve in his career. Styles make fights, and Crawford's style may have been the perfect antidote to Mayweather's brilliance. Even so, respect runs deep between the camps, and Crawford himself has admitted that Floyd is the best of his era, just as he believes he's the best of his. Boxing history is filled with these comparisons: Lee versus Tyson, Sugar Ray versus Mayweather, and now Crawford versus Floyd. Each era produces new kings, and the debates fuel the sports culture. But as Zab Judah put it, this is Crawford's generation, his timeline, and his crown. The truth is that fans may never see Crawford versus Mayweather in the ring, but the conversation is just as thrilling as the fantasy. It forces everyone to reflect not just on wins and losses, but on styles, timing, and what greatness really means. Floyd Mayweather will always be remembered as the undefeated king who outsmarted his rivals and walked away on top. Terence Crawford will be remembered as the ruthless technician who conquered divisions and finished fights with authority. Both are legends in their own right, but the clash of their legacies will keep boxing fans debating for decades. So who wins prime, Crawford or prime Mayweather? The answer may never come, But the discussion proves one thing. Crawford has reached that level of greatness where his name belongs in the same breath as Floyd. Whether you agree or not, it's a conversation worth having, and it shows how powerful his reign has been. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you side with Mayweather's defensive genius or Crawford's ruthless versatility? Don't just watch the debate, be part of it. Subscribe for more. Hit that like button. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown and join the discussion. Your voice is what keeps this sport alive, and your support means everything.